let's jump into the LIV thing here, because I'm going to LIV Las Vegas on Thursday, and I'm very interested in this. So like, let me just to talk about the golf, obviously, right? There's the funding, there's the, like, all that stuff. But golf wise, I feel like they're stuck between being serious and being unserious, right? You know, they have a roster, right? Like, it's no longer a huge joke about the roster that they run out. And the leaderboard that they had last week is a great example of that. You know, but there's so much of it that, like, the things that are serious, the golf gets matched with something that's unserious, like the team aspect that has untouchable captains. One team has 3 co-captains for some reason. The draft, the transactions, like the unserious joke aspect. The serious golf gets matched with the unserious music playing, which I don't even really care about. But the fact that they turn off the music at the end and they turn it off in the playoff means they know it's unserious. Mm-hmm. So for every, and I think the thing is, golf wise, like, it doesn't have to be a gimmick, right? Like, they have enough good players. I still have trouble finding it on my local CW, doesn't show it, but like, it's accessible on YouTube in round 1. You can download it through the app. Like, that's the accessibility that I want in my sport. We just talked about how much I'm on YouTube, but they need to almost take themselves more seriously. And I think other people would too.
Patrick, you want to go, or you want me to?
Kind of along those lines. The one thing, I'm going to try to speak quietly right now. The one thing that I've kind of been thinking about recently is, instead of creating your format and adjusting it to the OWGR standards, which your opinion on OWGR, I don't really care. What if from the beginning they just made it OWGR compliant? Where would we be right now?
My God. I mean, think about how many non-major winners would have already joined LIV.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. And so, to your point, Rick, they are in between the, we demand to be taken seriously. We demand OWGR points. But then you got Dua Lipa in the background. You got these guys seemingly playing for their teams, like the Sebastian Munoz quote from LIV Golf Orlando last year, where he was like, I played it safe pretty much because of the team competition, which was cited in the OWGR report. And I know Kyle's a big proponent of the team. It needs to be like, if you're going to be not compliant with OWGR, just go all the way, or reel it in and just axe the teams.
I mean, KP, when there was no Pebble Beach Pro-Am. According to Golf Twitter, everybody was watching LIV, and they got a great playoff, and Joaquin Niemann is victorious. And the first thing he says is, yeah, I'm not in the majors, which is like, that says a couple of things. One, I kind of think it's a corny jab at the OWGR that literally everyone, ourselves included, who have been wrong about everything in the last 2 years, except knowing that the OWGR was not going to award them points for this. We knew that was coming. 2, that's what the money was for. The money was because you knew this was possible. 3, it says, I don't even really care about what I just did. I'm only thinking about the majors. This is not all that serious. And like, it's just like I don't know. It's the juxtaposition of demanding to be serious, but not acting that way themselves.
Yeah. I mean, you're right. I don't know how to sort of condense all these sort of like different thoughts that I have. I thought the major quote was so telling, in that that's the context for all of this, right? And I almost feel like these leagues, I guess LIV can't do it. I almost feel like the PGA Tour should like ride that context more. And they do a little bit, but it's just so disjointed because, you know, none of the organizations own, like, they're all separate, which we've talked about a million times. With the I said this on the I was on the Friday podcast on Monday, and I was talking about how, like, everything in the NFL points to the NFL playoffs and the Super Bowl. You talk about everything in that context: the draft, the offseason, free agency, the preseason, the training camp, the first 5 weeks, the trade deadline. Everything is talked about within that context. And golf has all these weird side contexts where and it's kind of interesting because, you know, doing this gets you into that, and they're sort of related, but golf is just very, very strange in that sense. And I think that what Gehman said is, like, I mean, the 4 majors are just such the top of the pyramid, but the pyramid is really like 10 pyramids. And we can't all talk about the same thing because it's all so disjointed. Rick, I think Rahm brings such gravity to that entire organization. Not just, obviously, he's one of the 3 best players in the world, and has been. It's basically been him and Rory and DJ for the last 7 years as the best guys. Now LIV has 2 of them, but he brings gravity of, like, and even Hatton brings some gravity. Like, these are not guys that were good 15 years ago, like Sergio. They were Ryder Cuppers in September or in October.
John Rahm is a serious person. Terrell Hatton is a serious person. And we've talked about it before, where if you ever see John Rahm compete, he steals attention. Like, I cannot stop looking at him. He's a black hole. Like, I'm focused on him. And that's kind of my big point is the golf is good enough.
Yeah.
The golf is compelling. Like, there are enough good guys on that team, on that roster, with a lot of shots being shown in a small period of time, that the golf is good enough. I just feel like the rest of it is kind of a circus.
Yeah, I mean, the music and the concerts and all, it's just unnecessary, right? I don't even mind the team stuff. I think the team, I said this on the Friday podcast as well, I think the team stuff could actually be broken off into a separate deal, right? If you want to make, and I've always liked the team aspect of LIV. That might be the only thing about LIV that I liked. But if you want to make 5 events that are maybe some alternate shot, match play, team, whatever, that's interesting. I sometimes it gets a little conflated, and you're like, I don't totally know what I'm supposed to be paying attention to here. But I do think the team part of it is intriguing. I don't know if, I said this on Sunday, Rick, and I think it's true of LIV itself. I don't totally know what it is. I don't know if they know what it is right now, because really what it is, if you pull back and take all the names and people and everything out of it, it's the new European Tour, right? And we pay attention to the European Tour intermittently throughout the year when they have really good events, when they have Rory and Rahm playing or whoever. We don't pay attention every week, but now I think LIV has sort of demanded that not demanded, but it's compelled us to pay some attention to it. And I'm curious about what your experience of that is on site this weekend in Las Vegas.
So am I. Patrick, you and I are in 2 separate universes this week. So what should we be looking for? What should I be looking for when I get to LIV on Thursday? Like, I have zero idea what to expect.
Well, one more thing on the team thing. I think they should act like the tournament to tournament team winner and just have it behind
Overall?
the scenes. Yes.
Like
make
F1.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If they're marketing themselves, everyone is saying they're the F1 of golf, but then you have a new team winner every week. And that's just not how F1 works at all. That's not how the Premier League works or any of these team organizations. I will say for LIV, I hope we see a resurgence from my Rippers. We didn't get on the podium in Mayakoba with the addition of Lucas Herbert, a quiet acquisition, but I think a large one with the 4 scores needed on Sunday or Saturday. But it depends what your kind of getting into, Rick? Are you going to be credentialed? Are you going to be just a fan? Are you going to be in the suites? I know they have a big par 3 setup as well. And I mean, my dad went to LIV DC because it was at our home course, and he kind of just wandered around wherever you want. It was like a black wristband to get into the VIP sections. He had like a black Livestrong on. He got everywhere. He just went everywhere.
I'll have access.
Okay.
And I love
Rick's actually playing.
Could you? Yeah, I'm the 55th guy playing this.
Yeah.
And I love LVCC. It's very different from a lot of other courses in Las Vegas. It's a old school like tree line. It doesn't look like desert golf at all. Like I love that golf course. So I am kind of interested to see. I think I'll be interested to see how fans consume it. Are they there for golf? Are they there for festivities? And also, I don't know. It's kind of hard to measure, but like I've seen plenty of Jon Rahm and I've seen plenty of Terrell Hatton and Dustin Johnson. I want to see them in a different scenario and see if it's the same.
Yeah, I don't think, and it has nothing to do with the league. It has more to do with the weekend. I think the golf is just secondary.
Because of the
Right.
Super Bowl.
Correct. Everyone's just going to be there to have fun, drink a lot, and see a few golf balls fly in the air. They're not going to really be caring about if Jon Rahm's winning a golf tournament, I think. They're not going to be following him around. They'll just be in the party booth on the certain hole because of the shotgun start. They can just stay there all day and they're going to see golf shots.
So you just described the Phoenix Open also.
Yeah. I think that's pretty fair. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Rick, I just think like, and this is completely anecdotal and there's nothing, what's the word, empirical behind it, but LIV just feels different now. And I think there's so many implications for that reality. And a lot of them affect the PGA Tour. I think LIV for the first time to me feels like a real thing. And I think if you're still calling it an exhibition league with Jon Rahm out there swearing and dropping F-bombs on, I mean, it's just not, and maybe that's been true all along, but for whatever reason, that shift has happened for me. And I think it's going to be interesting to see what the PGA Tour does with that and how those two things merge or don't merge or continue to coexist.
Yeah. LIV has a real big advantage of being able to move quickly while the PGA Tour has to try to turn a battleship. Everything takes a while. LIV can just say, oh, well, we're going to count these 4 scores, or we're going to add another team, or we're going to do this, or we're going to, so it is a huge advantage. And, when I know they're leaning into the data, and I think that's going to add some validity as well. Do you need to go? Do you need to go, Patrick? We might have lost Patrick.
Well, real quick, Rick, it is weird because they're almost leaning into both extremes, right? Like, are you like the every shot thing that they announced or that got announced by Josh Carpenter of Sports Business Journal last week? I don't know if he broke that news. I don't think it was a press release. I think he had it. That's big boy stuff. Like we've been asking for that, but then on the other end, it's like we've still got music going for like 97% of the and I'm with you. I don't really care one way or the other about the music, but I don't know if you can you be both. It seems weird to be both.
That's what I agree. I think they're kind of stuck in the middle. I'll tell you what, like being able to see any shot that I want live and having Shot Tracker, those are literally my 2 dreams for any golf organization. Right. For every shot with data and every shot that I can see, that is literally a dream.
And I think, and I know this can lead us into the break because we'll talk about Phoenix afterward, but an advantage that they have, Rick, is just fewer tournaments, right? Yeah. Because, I wrote about this morning for CBSSports.com. Victor and Xander withdrawing from the Phoenix Open, it doesn't materially change the revenue model for the 2024 Phoenix Open. It doesn't matter, right? Like the Phoenix Open is still going to be a good tournament and a big party and all that stuff. But what it signals is that there's two different tours, or there's two different leagues within the PGA Tour, and the top guys don't care about don't care. They still care, but they're not as focused on the lesser one as they are on the signature events. And if you can't control like some of if there's unknown variables with these lesser events, that's a difficult long-term product to promote. And I think the NBA has been seeing that for the last few years, right? Where load management stuff, like that makes your product worse. And I think that LIV has that going for it in a way the PGA Tour does not.